Howard.
You already know. You already know. That's the first thing I had to throw in there.
Shout out to our cohort. I miss you all so
Yes.
much.
We had a great cohort. Like, honestly, if it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't have made it through.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I think I like posted that too. I was like, no one was with us shooting in the gym. Like
Man.
we only understood what was happening in those 2 years. It was so great. Yeah. I
It's so
definitely missed a lot of
true.
you all.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That's something we don't talk about enough is like well, I mean, I guess it's different now virtually, but like in person, you're going to spend so much time with this group of people. Like if you can't get along with most of them, at least find a couple that you can be cool with because you're going to be
Yeah.
spending a lot of time.
Oh my God. Like studying, working together. Also, I feel like we also hung out together as well, even on our weekends,
No, we
because
really did.
I feel like people outside of our cohort, they were just like, well, you're non-existent. So I don't have time for you now because they thought we were like blowing them off. So it was only people in the
Right.
court that was like, I know you've been working.
They
So I'm
understood. We understood each other's lifestyles. And then I had a different experience from you because like you were Howard undergrad, but for me, which we'll get into some more, but for me, like I was moving, like I moved across the country. And so like the
yeah,
cohort was all I knew at that time. So I was
yeah.
definitely like, that's the only people I was hanging out with. Like, so I'm glad, I'm glad that y'all are cool. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to VaSeana. So yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are, how you identify.
Okay, sure. So I guess, like you said, my name is VaSeana. I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky. I moved to DC because I went to Howard for undergrad and for grad school, of course. And I'm currently still residing in DC and working in DC post grad life. So that's exciting. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm not pretty much exciting, guys. So I don't have too many hobbies and things to throw out there and what I love to do.
We
Yeah,
don't
that's
need
pretty
all
much
that. We're here for the info.
as you said. I work with pediatrics. I think that's what I've always wanted to work with. And so here I am. And so I just so happened to come across speech language pathology because when I was in communications, I was in the honors program, and we had an alumni come back and talk with us. And she said she graduated with a bachelor's degree in speech pathology. And she was talking about how like she was making like 50 an hour. She had like the newest car. And I was like, oh, what's she do?
The
Because I
newest car.
got loans. I was like, I got school loans, so I need to do whatever she does. So I'd always been interested in that, just because, like, just hearing her talk about it. And honestly, I will say, literally, she had me at I don't even think she told us how much she made, but I maybe she did. She had me at the $50 an hour, and then she had the newest car of whatever year that was. I can't remember what year. And I was like, man, like that sounds good. So while I was doing elementary education, I was like, okay, well, let me go and get these papers signed so I can just minor in speech language pathology. Well, it turns out that I went to the department chair, I think at that time, and I knew her because speech pathology is in the communication building. And so I had seen her, knew of her. Well, when I went to her and get my sheet signed to minor in speech pathology because it was not recognized as a major at that time, she like kind of convinced me to join the 5-year program.
That's the T. That's what we're here for, people. The 5-year program.
And she was like, oh, well, you're interested in a minor. Would you be interested in like the 5-year program? Like, you would graduate with your master's. And I was just like, what? Huh? Like, what you talking about? And it sounded really great. And so, yeah. And so once she said that, I didn't make the decision right away. I actually called my mom and I was like, Mom, tell me what to do. And my mom, I think this is the first time my mom was ever like, no, I'm not telling you what to do because this is a major decision. So would you want to do this? Like, if you want to do this, you need to make that decision for yourself. And so, yeah, so it ends up that I made that decision to go ahead with it. And I'm so grateful because I think the first class, so by junior year, fall semester, I was entering the 5-year program. And so my first class, I think, was phonetics. of the semester, and I loved it. And so I'm forever grateful for that professor to kind of convince me and just talk about the program with me. And then I guess just for making that decision on my own, because I am very happy with where I am today.
Right. And it's something special when you like made a decision that you thought through and you're like, this is going to be good for me. And then it ends up being good for you. Like that's a different kind of feeling.
Oh my gosh, I was just so relieved because I am not the best decision maker, at least when it like comes to stuff that's like silly, like which color couch should I get? I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. And I need like 5 of like my best friends' opinions to like help me. And that was a big deal. Like in undergrad, you're like, whoa, I'm going into junior year. I'm already switching my major. So this could delay my graduation date. This could also, I was taking out loans for undergrad, so it would be more expensive, more loans, more debt I'm going into. There was just so many factors. But I think when I just overall looked at the picture, I was like coming out with a master's. And I was like, well, why not? Like, why not just try it? And so I'm happy I took that leap of faith.
Yes, definitely. So Howard, like she's saying, has a 5-year program. So in my cohort, I think we had 3 of you in our cohort.
Yes, 3 of
So
us.
we had 3 babies. Like they hadn't graduated undergrad. They didn't have a bachelor's degree, and they were right there with us doing the same work, doing the same research, learning the same things. And honestly, like VaSeana, like I've seen her, in person. She's a great speech therapist. She's great at what she does. She's good with the kids. And I think it's just really cool that they offer this program because, like she said, she graduated with a master's degree, like got to skip through undergrad, or not skip through undergrad, but skip through getting the bachelor's to get there. So I think that's awesome. Graduated at what, 24?
Yeah, or 23. Actually,
yeah, you were
I think
23 because I was 24.
I think I graduated at 22, and then my birthday was like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, because it's in May.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks later. So I graduated at 22, but turned 23 shortly after.
Right. So I feel like she really just got like a head start in the game, like got into the field so early, can make a lot of progress, a lot of growth coming in like that. So I think it's a really cool option that people want to know about. So give me just like the basics, kind of like the logistics of what the 5-year program looked like.
Yeah, for sure. Well, honestly, it may look totally different from what it looks like from when I was in it, because
Right. You were the inaugural group.
Yes, the
Yeah.
inaugural cohort of the 5-year program. And so it was really just me and 2 other girls as well. And so we were basically like the guinea pigs of the program. Like there was so many I don't know. There were so many trials and tribulations
To say the
outside,
least.
like the SLP part. Like the SLP and classes, everything was the easiest part, I think, of the 5-year program. But there was just so many different steps that also I think the department was also trying to figure out in its self. And so like things like financial aid, like, switching from undergrad to grad, how does your financial package, how is it handled? If I have undergraduate scholarships, does that flow over into graduate school? We had a lot of things with financial aid that was just a lot to deal with, I guess. And then honestly, just, I guess, trying to figure out how should, this program go? Like, your first year in it, what classes are you going to take? What would they expect from you? You had to have a certain GPA coming in and you had to maintain that GPA. Mm-hmm. And so it was all these different things. And I feel like there's more, they have a more like a set kind of like tier and kind of curriculum of how it's supposed to go now. But me and the other 2 girls were just guinea pigs. We were just kind of thrown in there, and there was so much always like shifting and changing for us. But we made it out of there, and we were pretty flexible, I guess. But yeah, no, it was just a lot of different changes, always questions like, okay, well, like I said, I was going into junior year. So I'm like, hey, what am I going to do with all these credits? Are there just not going to be anything? Are they not going to go towards anything? But luckily, the department worked with us very closely. And, I feel like as the first cohort, they definitely accommodated us in ways. They were like, hey, we can substitute the classes that you've already taken and put them, add them as credits for certain things in our curriculum that we had just like kind of outlined. And that was great to see. And so we didn't it didn't feel like we were kind of left behind or anything. We were kind of starting at the same place that I guess every other person in our cohort had started at when we started year of graduate school. So yeah, and I think my first year of graduate school would have been my senior year in undergrad. But it changed to graduate school, of course. And so yeah.
And that's when like we came in at that point at the same time. So that was like the last 2 years. So the year before that, it was you like taking prereqs and that kind of thing to get into the master's program, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The year before that, I think I was taking, like phonetics. Look, I cannot remember what I took, honestly.
Probably like anatomy, like, that kind of stuff.
Yes, there you go. Yes, speech and hearing science. Wow. Like, yes, it was so much. I honestly forgot. Yes, that's exactly what we were taking. All the anatomies, and the speech and hearing science and phonetics. And I feel like we had maybe that was just the speech and hearing science, because I think the oral rehab class came the first year of grad school. But yes, we were taking like most of the prereqs the year before. So by the time we were in the first year of grad school, we started on the same playing field as everyone. And so it worked out great. It was good.
I'd say so.
I think a pro was we did not have to take the GRE.
Snaps to that.
That was definitely a pro. We did not have to take the GRE. They just allowed us to transition into it. So that was great. But I think in replacement of that, we were kind of on like held to, like, you had to keep this certain GPA. We had to keep a 3.5 or higher. And if you fell below at any point, then you could possibly be kicked out of the program. So I think that was kind of in replacement of it. And I don't know if they had a certain GPA for us in grad school. Like, did they have a certain one for us?
For me, no. It was, you couldn't get like 2 C's. You can only get 2 C's throughout your program.
Okay.
But we didn't have like a GPA we had to keep.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think I know there was something different, but I don't remember really like applying that to me, because I was like, well, I got to keep this 3.5, and that kind of applies to this. So that's why I was asking. So I think that was the huge pro. I think the pro of, depending on, not everyone is my age coming into this, but me and the other 2 girls, we were all the same age. We were all supposed to graduate senior year 2018, but we did not, since we decided to switch over to the program. And so I think just being young and coming out with a master's degree, like, that's really great. It puts you, in another bracket that you don't expect to be in.
Not at your age, for sure.
Yeah, not at my age. That's a pro, but honestly, that can also come back into cons as well. And not really a con, but more of like, things that you have to kind of work through and deal with and process and learn. And so when I say like a con, I think it was just the fact that we were kind of guinea pigs in that some sort. If you're not the guinea pig, it probably won't be any cons. I don't know. But we were ahead of everything. Like, if there was changes, it happened to us. If it hit us hard, it happened to us, and we had to adjust. We had to adapt. I think that was the biggest con, just being the first inaugural class and so many kinks that needed to be worked out. I think also, the con of, since that was the first year of grad school was supposed to be my senior year, having my friends from undergrad, like my best friends, and, they only have like 3 classes because they completed all of their credits. And so, having that urge to have like that social life, but you're like, OMG, I'm actually in grad school. I have to keep this GPA. I can't go out and have fun with my friends and celebrate, you know, senior year because it's not my senior year.
Right.
So that
That's
was a big
definitely something. I just remember you going through that as it was happening. Like I remember you like missing out on all the senior activities, and then on top of that, like missing out on graduation. Like you only got one. We got
yeah.
two. Like we had we had like our undergrad graduation and parties, and like money sent to us for that. Like you didn't really get the opportunity to have that. So I remember when we got to our second graduation, you still wanted to make that a really big thing, but
Yeah.
also it's like,
I couldn't.
we had so
Also,
many
I
other things
couldn't.
going on, right? First of
Yeah,
all,
also
we
I
were broke.
couldn't.
First of all, we were
Oh my
broke.
God. Man, we don't even want to talk about trying to work in grad school. That's a whole nother topic.
Man.
But yeah, no, once we graduated, I was still completing my clinical hours at my externship and like literally like to the very last day. And
Yeah.
so I didn't have time to take grad pictures. I didn't have time to send out invitations to people. Like I didn't really have any formal like graduation I don't know, like fantasy, not even fantasy, but ideal
Hmm.
way of graduating. Yeah,
Yeah,
the most
and I I think
cohort.
the thing is that I feel like that happens a lot with your like master's degree, because it's kind of like for most people, you already got one graduation, and then when your master's degree, you're usually finishing things up at the end of it. You probably don't have a
Mhm.
lot of money. You're usually probably somewhere else out of state, so you probably don't have a lot of family there in the first place. Like there's a
Right.
lot that goes into it. But I feel like it's different for you or someone that didn't get that first experience, because you didn't get the first experience. So I remember
Right.
that being like a really big con. Like I remember the rest of the cohort felt really bad for y'all. We were like, man, we had to do something for you. Like you didn't get the first one. But yeah, I definitely remember that.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where it's like, well, everyone's going to their senior year and I'm transitioning into grad school. But it is what it is, because when you think of what you're getting out of the experience, it's like, I don't regret anything. I still had a great graduation for, the master's. And
Hmm.
so everything was perfectly fine. But yeah, I think that was probably that one was a con. And then, of course, being the guinea pigs of the program. Undergrad experience at Howard was amazing. I feel like if you meet anybody that went to undergrad at Howard, if you really get them talking about undergrad, that's all they want to talk about. I think me and my friends look back today and we're like, oh, we really like we wish we could be there again. I will say I come from Louisville, Kentucky, and so I definitely come from an environment where really it's just like black and white, right? It's not really diverse. Um, and so I think coming to Howard, I remember coming for the what is that called, orientation or something for
Hmm.
undergrad, and I remember them having like all these activities, and I was just meeting so many people from different backgrounds. Like I was meeting people from the Caribbean, people from overseas, and then also just people within the United States, like people from California,
Yeah.
people from Jersey, New York, a lot of people from Michigan or like Detroit, and then like of course people from the South, like Atlanta. Really, all of your major. It's like people from all of your major cities coming to one spot, and then on
Hmm.
top of that, you have like islanders and everything, and so which is great. And I was just like, wow. I don't have this back at home, like none of this at all. And then, you make so many connections. It's a very lively and friendly school. You have professors that are like famous and like are well respected in like their prospective careers and everything. And I think that's something that I think people know that, but they don't take advantage of that as much in undergrad. But it's great. And then I also feel like it's just being around Black people, like constantly every day, and for 4 years. And that's something I actually was just talking to my coworker about. Is that like as a Black person, you're kind of spoiled at Howard because you're like, man, I'm around Black people 365 days out of the year for 4 years. And honestly, it's like once you get out of that Howard bubble, it's like, oh, wait, like this actually isn't how reality is, you know? But having that for 4 years, I'm so grateful for that. There's just so many people, so many different cultures you can learn about. And then it's just great being around people who look like you that can encourage you and also like set examples for you. There was plenty of students that was just, I think as a freshman, I was just like, wow, I want to be like that student. And, you know, students are constantly encouraging you to get internships freshman year, to go abroad freshman, sophomore year. You know, they're constantly just encouraging you to do the things that I feel like at a PWI, not a lot of people, you know, it's kind of one of those like, oh, if you stumble upon it, you find it. Not many people are reaching out about it, or not many people are telling you to do it. And so it's just a different bond that you have with even your professors. Actually, one of my professors, she was actually one that I kind of like co-signed me transitioning to the speech pathology program. She was actually one. She was like, well, why not this and that? And I was like, wow, yeah. And like, I still keep in touch with her today. She was a professor that I actually studied abroad with for the first time in my life, because she created a whole organization that could do so. And so I don't know. I just feel like those connections and those experiences don't happen as much at PWIs. But then again, I can't really compare since I never went to one. But I'm just grateful for that experience. And then overall, you're in DC. And so there's so much to do. You know, outside of the Howard bubble, you know, you have Philly, you have New York to go to. You have so many different places to go to experience. And then DC itself, like, it's just like you're in the capital. So it's like, whoa, there's so much
Chocolate
to do.
City.
Yes. So many staples in DC. And so overall, I think the experience, I cannot describe it in words, honestly. I really can't.
Think one of my favorite things, or one of my favorite words to describe being on Howard's campus, is just like inspired. You're inspired by everything. You're inspired by everyone. Everyone makes you want to do something better with yourself. Everybody makes you feel like, wow, I'm so proud to be a part of this. Like, I'm so proud to be, not even like what I'm doing, I'm so proud to be here, like watching what you're doing, like, because you're going to be something special. You're going to be something special. I see it all over campus, you know? So that's definitely a thing. It's definitely inspiring to be there.
Yeah, and I think people don't realize, like, literally campus was, like, you could be walking to lunch and next thing you know, like, some kids from fine arts, like, they're either jumping double dutch in front of the building, or it's guys playing their saxophones, you know, like live performances, like while classes are going on. Like really like gatherings of just like being social, but really just take it in so much. I feel like you see a lot of that on the movies, but that's literally what Howard is. I used to just be so amazed. Like, we didn't, there wasn't many people that had like picnics on our lawns, really. You may just like sit and maybe do homework and things. But yeah, I think I was just really amazed when I seen like people playing their instruments like on the steps, or painting, or, you know, doing all kind of things. And I'm just like, is it in the middle of the day? Like, don't people got class? Or like being in class and the windows up so you can barely concentrate because something's going on the yard. It was a great experience. It really was.
You didn't get this experience in undergrad, but the communicative disorders community in undergrad is extremely competitive, because they like tell you how hard it is going to be, or how hard it's going to be to get into grad school, because like it's super competitive. So just the vibe in those classrooms, it's crazy. It's just like, it's kind of catty. It's very competitive. Like, I don't even know what else to call it. So I think in that space, it was like almost impossible to form genuine relationships. And then on top of that, it being a PWI. So I think coming from that and then going to Howard, where like I was cool with everybody, like I said, like the cohort really rocked together. It was just not like that. It was not like that.
And you know, I've heard that also about some grad programs like in DC. I think I had a supervisor, and she went to, I don't know if she went to GW American. She went to somewhere. I can't remember. But she was saying it was very competitive as well. And honestly, I just couldn't imagine being in grad school and competing with my cohort, you know, trying to say like, who's better or I'm gonna do this better. Like it's stressful enough. And like you said,
Man.
like when we first said at the beginning, like honestly, like you all support was what got me through, I feel like those 2 years, so I couldn't imagine. But also I feel like a lot of PWI graduate programs also are pretty much larger than ours. Ours are pretty intimate settings, pretty small. And so, I am thankful I was not ever put in those environments where it was very competitive.
Yeah, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for our grad school experience because I don't feel like a lot of people have a similar one.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like we keep saying, I wouldn't have made it. Like I wouldn't have made it without the support of each other. So yeah, I think that's really good advice.
You know, honestly, I feel like I learned this in undergrad, or it was like very surface level, but then going into grad school, it became, I guess, more apparent, or I don't know, like I maybe applied it more. And that was to advocate for yourself.
Mm,
Um, because in a place where Howard is so great and you're surrounded by people that are so great, some people can get lost in that. And some people can start comparing themselves to others, and you can get lost in that. But really just kind of advocating for yourself of, what you're interested in, or what you like, who you want to network with, or what relationships you even want to, build with professors or with peers for your future. And I think that's what got me through grad school. That got me an externship.
mm-hmm.
I think my last spring semester of the last year in grad school, advocating for myself, saying, "Hey, I like this setting and I want to do this. So, is there any way we can get that contract, or any way we can do this, or any way I can be a part of it?" And I think that also just plays a great role in the field that we work in. Self-advocating for myself as a therapist and my boundaries, advocating for like other, other therapists, or even my clients, or even giving parents, encouragement to self-advocate for themselves or their kids.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, that makes a big difference. I feel like you have been great at that since I've known you. You've been great at advocating for yourself, and I feel like a lot of people say that comes from going to Howard, because you do have to do that. That was a great point you made. And when you're surrounded by greatness, it's easy to kind of fall through the cracks. And so you have to make sure that you're pushing yourself forward because you can't really rely on anybody else to do that. I think that can be confused because everybody at Howard wants you to succeed. They'll always have your back. They're always going to push you to move forward, but they're going to feel that way about everybody. so,
Yes. Yes.
so you got to figure out, what's going to make you get to, the finish line where you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I think you hit it right on. Like they feel that way about everybody. And so you don't feel like, oh, like I'm a special one. Like,
Right.
no.
You're not. You're special because
Yeah.
you're at Howard, but like everybody at Howard is special, so.
Yeah, because they want anyone graduating from that place to be special. And I think that's a great way to go about it, because why not, right?
Definitely, definitely.
I mean, you guys can find me on LinkedIn. I do not have a SLP page on Instagram. My Instagram is my balance. That is my social life. And so I can give you my Instagram handle, but do not come on there thinking it's going to be like Jordyn's page. It's going to be me living my life, because I love to live life. I love to travel. I'm a foodie. And so that's pretty much what you'll see. You'll see food. You'll see cocktails. You will see life at its finest.
Yes. Real life. This is real life.
Overpriced experience. Yes. Yeah, I'll be paying for overpriced experiences, and you will see it. Yeah, so you guys can follow me at Shauna, and so it's SEANAAA 31. So 3 A's at the end.
I'll make sure that's in the bio.
LinkedIn is just my. Thank you. LinkedIn is VaSeana Moran. Everyone, I guess, if you want to see my experience, if you want to chat about a certain setting, or exactly, and we didn't get to go into detail about like the settings I work in, but if you guys want to chat about that, I am here. or any questions about HBCU or Howard, I am here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the support you've given me since grad school.
Yes.
Thank you for everything. I'm
Thank
so
you for
glad, like I said,
having
that you're
me. I was like so nervous. I was like, wait, this is Jordyn. I can just talk to Jordyn.
right. This is a normal conversation.